How's it going? In this video we're going to take a look at more plumbing issues. This time it goes from the toilet down into the underbelly and then back up into the RV a little higher into a spot where it could cause thousands and thousands of damage. In fact, this is the kind of plumbing in RVs that is really unacceptable. Where they've done this connection is in such a critical spot, it could cause so much damage that no one would really ever know unless they did this deep dive like I've done. And so that's why I wanted to show you this video, because you could end up in the same situation as other people where their underbelly's filled with water, or you could end up with water in a spot that it really doesn't have anywhere to go but to settle where there's wood. And that's even worse than settling in the underbelly, because in an underbelly, at least you can poke a hole and drain that out. But the most important thing is you really want to fix these things. I recorded a lot of this video as I was doing it, but unfortunately my audio wasn't working, so I had to redo it. So that's why I have a different backdrop here, but I'll do the best I can to kind of narrate to see, what we're doing here. But I really wanted to show people this because these are the kind of problems, as I mentioned, that can cause lots and lots of damage. I really want to give a special shout out to my buddy over at Rigger RV Repair, Jacob Rigger. He's really the one that's kind of helped put this issue at the forefront of the RV industry, really kind of leading the charge. On his YouTube channel, he has lots of videos where he does RV reviews. He shows you how to grade them. In addition to that, he's got a nice 3-part series that talks about RV plumbing issues, and he shows you the different kind of connections and the fittings that you should be using. So great content over there. Go over to his YouTube channel, give that a look if you have not already. Because this was a really tight spot, I couldn't do a lot of video on it. This is an area that is directly underneath the shower, and this is a flex hose connected to some PEX fittings that feeds my toilet. In order to get here, I did have to drop my underbelly, and so what you're looking at here is the underbelly dropped, and I had to crawl up into a pretty tight spot. I've heard people cut holes in their underbelly in order to do some repairs. I really don't recommend you do that. If you can, try to find some tools like small pry bars. I think they're called like a nail puller or something like that. I have a couple of them, different sizes. I have one that's just a little bit bigger and then one that's a smaller size. I just use those to get up behind that underbelly, and then I just get my fingers back there and I just kind of work it down, and it works quite nice. And again, I didn't get a lot of footage of the bathroom before the repair, and I wish I would have, but in the bathroom, what we're looking at here is the flex hose that was previously connected to the toilet, and I've since removed that. This is the entire run that I removed that we just took a look at in the underbelly. I've cut that, and I've got this up inside the RV here. And so the piece here that we're looking at with the black tape around it was what was up inside the RV, and the other end that you saw was what was connected to the plumbing that we just looked at a second ago. I used some Gorilla Tape to connect the flex hose to the PEX, and I just pulled that down through the hole there just like you would a standard electrical cable, and actually that worked out quite nice. I did have to get up in the underbelly again on the opposite side of the RV in order to pull that down a little bit more, but all in all, that worked out quite well. I didn't have to add any extra elbows or anything. The flex tubing really bends quite nice. I didn't have any kinks or anything, so there should be no restrictions. What I don't understand is I was able to take a single piece of PEX, run it down through that hole that you see there, into the underbelly and back up to the connection point, and then terminate that right to the PEX elbow. This is what it looked like before I did any repairs. And the reason why I wanted to show this is because if you can see where that's at, it's actually up above the wood. And if that was to leak, this is a spot where no one's really going to be able to see it. And again, I'm in the underbelly, and this is up in really the section that's below the shower pan. And you can see that there's wood there, and I'm in the underbelly. So if there's a leak, it's possible that it would go in the underbelly, but it's also very possible that it would go into a spot that would go to a low point where there's wood. It could go to the floor, into the living room, any area there that might be a low point is where that water is going to sit. For me, this is probably the most important type of connection that you cannot get wrong. I don't understand why a manufacturer would put a consumer in this situation where they're putting a risky connection in an RV where there's water that could leak. In my opinion, there's really no excuse for this other than laziness and just showing that they don't really care about the consumer. What I really want to know from the manufacturer is, are you aware of this, or is this just something that an RV builder did and they cut corners? I hope that's not really the case. In either situation, this really should be quality controlled and resolved. This kind of a connection should never be done in an RV, because this is the most risky kind of a connection that a consumer could ever have to deal with. Again, it's because you can't see it. In order to get here, I had to drop my underbelly. And to be honest with you, I couldn't even tell where it went. I had to get on a creeper. I had to get on the ground and look up with some bright lights in order to even see this spot. So I would say most people are probably not going to be ambitious enough to tackle this kind of a project. Again, in my opinion, this is just completely egregious and unacceptable. There's no reason why you should be doing this. After I got everything put back together, I of course tested it using my onboard water pump, and then I used the city water connection, and everything was rock solid, bone dry, which is what you want to see, of course. But this issue with the flex hose connected to the PEX fittings and PEX cinch clamps has really become a really big problem in the RV industry. I hope this video has helped somebody out. If you would, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. We don't do a lot of videos, but we're considering documenting more of our trips that we do. We used to do that some time ago, and we're considering doing that again. I really appreciate you stopping by. Happy camping.